So that's about Storm Y with Nobody Knows Tomorrow, you know. Indeed, nobody knows tomorrow. It's now time for our word of the day.
Today's word of the day is ACME, acme. It's a noun. Acme is the point at which something is at its highest point or its most developed point. Do you have any examples, Noreen?
Through sacrifice and hard work, Nanama reached the acme of success in sports journalism.
So true. Acme. Today's word of the day is ACME, acme. It's a noun. Acme is the point at which something is at its highest point or its most developed point. Do you have any examples, Noreen?
Through sacrifice and hard work, Nanama reached the acme of success in sports journalism.
So true. Acme. Today's word of the day is ACME, acme. It's a noun. Acme is the point at which something is at its highest point or its most developed point. Do you have any examples, Noreen?
Through sacrifice and hard work, Nanama reached the acme of success in sports journalism.
So true. Acme. Today's word of the day is ACME, acme. It's a noun. Acme is the point at which something is at its highest point or its most developed point. Do you have any examples, Noreen?
Through sacrifice and hard work, Nanama reached the acme of success in sports journalism.
So true. Acme. Today's word of the day is ACME, acme. It's a noun. Acme is the point at which something is at its highest point or its most developed point. Do you have any examples, Noreen?
Through sacrifice and hard work, Nanama reached the acme of success in sports journalism.
So true. Acme. Today's
Acme. So there comes a time in your life where you reach your acme. Yes. So that's the word of the day. Every day we'll make sure that we'll teach you a word so you can add to your vocabulary notebook. It's now time for Inside Out. So on Inside Out, we talk about the opposition NDC versus the Attorney General. Yesterday, the NDC released a tape, and the NPP says that tape was doctored. We'll look at what happened, what transpired in court, the mood, the scenes in court, and of course, the man who was there when all this was happening, especially in the courtroom, joins us, Murtala Inusa. Later on, we'll dovetail into court today. Mamutala, you were in court yesterday. Prior to walking into the courtroom yesterday morning, were you anticipating a packed courtroom? What were you looking out for you as a journalist?
Yes. So even before that, the day before, I started having calls, people trying to find out which court that case is and the fact that what time the case was due to be heard. And also, so from behind the scenes, you realize a lot of people were much more interested in this case. And yesterday, as of around 11:30, virtually the courtroom was empty.
Really?
Yes. The case was fixed for 12 o'clock. As of 11:30, virtually the courtroom was empty. Then, a few minutes
to 12.
Oh, it wasn't easy.
it was as though they packed
between 11:30 and 11:40. There was like they just buzzed people in there, everybody, and the courtroom started building up. Politicians and members of parliament, lawyers, then the parties themselves. When I say the parties, the legal team of the accused persons, and then the prosecution started walking in, and the whole courtroom was very full. And so Justice Efia-Sewa Saribuche instructed the court warrant officers, those of police officers that you see around the court, they are called court warrant officers. They should be by the gates. Once the last person sits and the courtroom is full, nobody else comes in to stand. So that was the mood in the court yesterday. And even at the bar, they have to even go outside and bring some chairs from other offices to make sure that there are available chairs for some of the lawyers who came in to also observe or see for themselves what was to happen yesterday. So even before the time it was due, the scenes was very, very
But let's take a quick trajectory of the case. How far it has traveled.
Yes. So when the trial began, the state called witnesses, 4 of them.
Okay.
Including Kweku Agyeman Menu, the former Minister for Health. He came in and testified. Prosecution closed their case, and the court held that there's a prima facie evidence against all the three accused persons at the time. The
Okay,
case started with three.
the three accused being
Absolutely.
the minority leader, Anemana,
Dr. Sylvester Anemana, the former chief director, and then Mr. Richard Jakpa.
Right.
So, Dr. Ato Forson started to open his defense. He called witnesses. He himself didn't testify personally.
Okay.
So he called witnesses to
How
come
many
in.
witnesses did he
call? He called 5 witnesses.
Okay.
So including Setekpe, who happens to be his former boss. Absolutely. Yes. Then Alex Mood, former GNPC boss, was also there. And some bankers also came in there to testify. Then he closed
Was Alex Segbefia part?
Alex Segbefia was initially due to testify, but somewhere along the line, he didn't come. So that is how they closed their case and all that. Then they called on the second accused person at the time, Dr. Sylvester Anemana. Dr. Anemana came in, read his witness statement in open court. Then he was facing cross-examination. Then issues of his health came out.
Yeah.
At one point in time, you asked him a question, lawyers of Mr. Jakpa will ask him a question, then it take about 10 hours.
Who represented Jakpa at the time?
It was Dr. Tony Obin,
who
was representing Mr. Richard Jakpa at the time. So it was during this whole thing, then Attorney General, Mr. Anemana, was given the permission to travel outside for some kidney transplant. Then the court wrote to the Chief Justice for a warrant for a virtual court hearing. So when Mr. Anemana is out there, once the court is sitting and is able to join virtually, he can participate. So the court took that step. He went in there, and the wife was with him. And at the point in time when they called the case, he has been in the theater, and it's very difficult for him to talk. So at that point, the Attorney General took the view that they are minded to file a nolle prosequa to have him discharged so that they can continue with the rest of the accused person. And rightly so, they filed it. No reasons as per the nolle prosequa filed, and the Attorney General is enjoined to do so. But
for the purposes of people who don't understand, for the layperson, when you say somebody files a nolle prosequa, what does it mean?
So it means that the Attorney General looked at this and they want to discontinue charges against you, prosecuting you. So they filed that, and the court also, you didn't have to attach any reason, because it's the Attorney General that initiates criminal action against anybody, and it's the same Attorney General who can go to. But the court has no mandate to say I would or I won't. So he was discharged. So the remaining 2, immediately he was discharged, the court said, now it left with Mr. Richard Jakpa. So come in and then testify. Initially, Mr. Jakpa has 4 hours to be able to tell his story. Then, according to him, that was the problem he had with his lawyer, because he felt that if Attorney General have to call this number of witnesses and I have to have only 4 hours, that won't be enough for me. So as part of the reason why he fired his lawyer, these are some of the reasons. Then Mr. Tony Obin went out. Then the very day he informed the court that he is firing his lawyer, that same day the court said, you should have come with a new lawyer because the business of the day must continue. So Mr. Jakpa was asked to mount the witness box, which he did. So he started testifying orally. Then at the next agenda date, he came in with a new lawyer, which is Tadio Sorry. Then after the court gave Mr. Tadio Sorry some time, initially, the court has even fixed at the end of March to deliver judgment because of the initial plans that they had. That Mr. Jakpa will have 4 hours, and by then they would have done with everything. And then when Mr. Tadio Sorry came in, things changed. So they said they are even filing some witnesses and all that. So the oral submission that Mr. Richard Jakpa started, they later on filed a witness statement. So that one was truncated. And then he read his witness statement. He took 3 sittings to read his witness statement, 134 paragraphs. And that the last of the sitting of which he concluded his evidence in chief was last Tuesday, a week yesterday. And that week yesterday was when the cross-examination started, because he used about an hour. And the court sat from 12 to 3 p.m. So an hour, the remaining 2 hours was given to lawyers of Dr. Ato Forson to cross-examine. And I was saying the issues of yesterday's motion. Yesterday, you noticed that they said they filed 2 applications. One of the things that they were challenged, that day, lawyers of Dr. Ato Forson said, once he was done with evidence in chief, it is the Attorney General who is supposed to start cross-examination before Dr. Ato Forson.
Before the defendant's lawyers.
Absolutely. But the court held that they have to start before the Attorney General. So they were asked to start, which they started. And they said they would need 6 hours. So last Tuesday, they dealt with 2 hours. And then on Thursday, the case came on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So last Thursday was supposed to be 4 hours. Rightly so, they did. And that was the day that Mr. Japa stirred controversy through that bombshell and said that Attorney General had been meeting him and all that. So when the case was adjourned to yesterday, it was for the last 2 hours of Dr. Ato Forson to subject Mr. Japa to cross-examination. After, then Attorney General will take over. But yesterday we were told that there were certain motions that were filed. One, to challenge the ruling of the court that Dr. Ato Forson is ready to start cross-examination before the Attorney General. They said they are appealing, so they want a stay of proceeding. And the other one that they are seeking an order of inquiry. So that's how the whole thing started up to where we have gotten now. But yesterday's sitting was very interesting. A lot of banter, a lot of exchanges. You notice that on Thursday when the case came up and then Mr. Jakwa came up with that allegation, Sami Jemfi granted an interview. And as part of the
National Communications Officer for the NDC.
And as part of the interview, one of the things that he said was, look, if the Attorney General can speak to an accused person without his counsel, then he's capable of speaking to a judge. Then yesterday, that issue came up. Yesterday, when the case was called, Sami Jemfi was called to mount the witness box by the court. So the first question, at the last court sitting, what time did you walk in here? The court was of the opinion that Sami Jemfi came in after the incident had happened. But apparently, it came to the fore that he was in before the incident happened. So he had knowledge about what happened. And so what he said in the media is something that he had foreknowledge. But the court said, look, there should be a line. Nobody should scandalize the court. And
for somebody who is a lawyer.
Absolutely. And the court said, you are a senior at the bar, so you should know what the law, as a professional, you should know what is
you know the ethics.
And Sami Jemfi said, I'm not a senior at the bar. So it became another issue. And Tadio Sore especially said that to be a senior at the bar, you have to be 10 years at the bar. Sami Jemfi said he's 6 years at the bar. So he's not a senior at the bar yet. You should know where to draw the lines. So it became a bit of banter. Sami Jemfi was trying to explain. The court said, no, if you make a point that the Attorney General is capable of speaking to the judge. So the issue of
it means
the judge...
You are being prejudiciary.
Absolutely. The issue of the judge and the judge became an issue. The court was of the opinion that he's saying that the judge, making reference to her.
So, yes,
he's saying that you should be in your lane. Let us be in our lane. And so that banter, it became fought and banter. The court said, this should be your last warning. I am giving you my last warning. The next time you won't see what happened. And urged the two political parties to cease fire. So yesterday, Marietta Brewer appeared upon the former Attorney General, in fact, who has been in the courtroom, was called upon to put his team members. And yesterday, when that banter was happening, she stood up and said, look, my lady, we want to make sure that everything is put in proper perspective. All the parties will try to cease fire. So yesterday, before Justice Ifiasewa Saribuchi is adjourning the case for a reason ruling, he said he wants to have a reason ruling on this matter. For that matter, he has to adjourn. The court is also saying that, looking at what is happening, tomorrow is Thursday, right? The case is supposed to come on
Thursday.
But the court said that tomorrow's date is waived. So we are coming on Tuesday. So then in brief, this is what happened yesterday in the courtroom. Very packed courtroom. Of course.
Interesting. But after the sitting, were there interviews granted by some of the persons involved?
Absolutely. There were interviews, especially, there are calls for the Attorney General. Yesterday, the Attorney General wasn't present in court. We're told that he's on a national assignment out of the country. And so he wasn't present. The state was represented by the Deputy Attorney General, Alfred Chiayeboa, and the Director of Public Prosecution, Mrs. GHOne Atakra-Obobisa, and two other state attorneys who also joined him. And then the legal team of Mr. Dr. Ato Forson, Dr. Aziz Bamba, and then Eduji Tamakro also represented Dr. Ato Forson. Then Tadio Sore represented the third accused person, Mr. Richard Jakpa. But what they said after the sitting in court today, we'll bring you that interviews that we had with the two parties, Sami Jemfi. Sami Jemfi welcomes the call that there should be a ceasefire, but also trying to explain his position at the last court that he didn't cross the line. What he said was to clarify his point to the court and all that. But the Deputy Attorney General has also been saying, look, calls for the Attorney General to step down is a matter that he has to do. They are not disturbed about what is happening. They are only bent on prosecuting their case and all that.
All right, Mutala, thank you. So that's what happened yesterday in court. Later on, we'll engage a lawyer. We'll also engage a security analyst on the alleged doctored tape. But that's it for Inside Out. We now move to court today. Okay, so let's continue with the issues that we started with.
Yes.
You mentioned Sami Jenfi, you mentioned the Deputy Attorney General, yes, Alfred Tuayeboa, yes, that he spoke to the media after proceedings.
So I've already given you the background to this whole thing. So let's go and hear from the Sami Jenfi, who is the National Communications Director Officer of the National Democratic Congress, after the court sitting, what he said in relation also to the admonition that he was given, or the banter that he had with the judge, Justice Ifyasawa Asari-Botwe.
For the sanctity of the administration of justice, the court will always ensure that commentary on matters that are sub judice are responsible and done with circumspection so that the court is not scandalized. So, in principle, the caution of the court was in order, and it is something that we in the NDC agree with, and that is why right from the outset, we have been very circumspect in whatever we say on this case and have ensured that the court is not in any way or form scandalized. I think the particular reference to me was something that, in my humble opinion, the court, got wrong. And I took the opportunity to draw the court's attention to the fact that the said comment was not about this court or the presiding judge in this trial. I think that you are aware that we have a press conference at 2 p.m. to address the unprofessional and criminal conduct of the Attorney General in this matter. And that press conference will go into issues that even go beyond what the issues before this honorable courts. And by the time we are done, everybody will be clear in their mind the kind of judge I was talking about. But just to put it on record, that my statement was very clear. It was a hypothetical statement that if you have an Attorney General who can call an accused person on the blind side of his lawyer when he knows that the ethics of the bar prescribes that, then that person certainly can call then I said whatever I said. It was not in reference to this. And I think that you will see incontrovertible evidence to show that that hypothetical statement I made is actually a fact, and that that person is in the business of calling judges and meeting judges, not in the instant case, but you will see the facts for yourself. So today you know that the hearing did not come on because of certain applications that have to be served on counsel for the accused persons. We'll come back to solidarize with our minority leader on Thursday, which is the next hearing day, or on Tuesday, which is the next hearing day. But from here, we're going to the party headquarters for our press conference, and so ensure that your reporters are there or you come there yourself for the evidence we promised you last week. Thank you.
So that's Sami Jenfi.
Yeah, so yesterday, after the court sitting, he's inviting all of us to the NDC headquarters for the evidence that they have promised. And yesterday, after they had a press conference, and we saw what has come out of that. But let's hear from the Deputy Attorney General, Alfred Tuayeboa, who represented the state in this proceeding. He said, look, they are not fizzle at all. They are bent on prosecuting their case and calls for the Attorney General to resign. It is a decision for the AG to make.
Do not see any tension. We are prosecuting our case. They are defending their clients, and that's how the legal system works. So far as we are doing our work in court, we continue to do it and nothing else. So there's no tension. The AG is on an official assignment, and he'll be back very soon.
There are many calls that, looking at what is happening, the AG should step down.
That's the decision of the AG to make, but I don't see it that way. We've not been served with any other new motion. There was an old motion to stay proceedings. The new one, we have no knowledge because we've not been served.
Do you know why they want to stay proceedings?
Oh, that one, the judge delivered a ruling last 2 weeks that counsel for Ato Forson should start cross-examining the witness, and they disagree. That's why they filed that appeal and the motion for stay.
Now, the court is also making one thing, the language being used out there. The court is saying that people should be careful, both teams. What is your initial reaction?
I agree with the court.
So that's Deputy Attorney General.
Alfred Chiayebua. He's always smiling. Yes, he's always
the smiling
smiling.
man.
It's one characteristic about him that, so you never know when he's not in a good mood. He's always smiling. So yesterday, he's saying that, look, they are bent on prosecuting their case. They are not bothered at all, and calls for the AG to step aside. It is a call that the AG himself will have to make. So that's what happened after the court sitting with this whole matter.
There were other cases there, Saglemi, housing case.
Yes, Alaji Collins Dauda, yesterday he was also in court. So yesterday was a case of
the NDC versus the judiciary.
So the case of the Ato Forson reminds me of when they made the call that James Jachikwesi, anytime Jachikwesi's case come up, they will be in court. And you saw the numbers that came up yesterday was huge. And so immediately after, and this very case, Collins Dauda's case is just the next court after. It's just the next court after.
So did they all march in?
They went in there and then supported Dr. Alaji Collins Dauda. So yesterday, the business of the day also did not go on as expected. Prosecution still had issues to do with the second prosecution witnesses' testimony. There was a certain exhibit that they were having issues. He made references to them, but he didn't actually attach them to his witness statement as adopted. And so the lawyers were of the considered view that if it's not attached, how then do we have issues? How then do we go to court of appeal if we have issues? But prosecution is also of the considered view that those exhibits are already before the court. So once the witness makes references to it, they can easily look for them. But the court is saying that, well, let's have a very clean record so that once we pick it, we know what is done. So the case has been adjourned to next Tuesday before Justice Ernest Owusu-Dankwa, Lantam's favorite judge.
Let's look at what's coming up today. JB Killer's case is back, and Sexy Dondon.
Sexy Dondon, yes. Anytime he mounts the witness box, he has something new to say. It started by when he decided to go to the Ashawu joint, and then came to the point where he's saying that, look, he went in and then down Paris office. He was, as it were, attacked by ASP Kofi Sapon, if you're thinking, and all that. They managed to put him on record and all that. And he was at a considered view that what he's going through now mirrors the Daniel in the Bible. No, Daniel went into the
and his name is Daniel. So yes.
he used that as a comfort to say that what I'm going through now.
So he's been thrown into the lion's den. Okay.
Tomorrow I'll come out because Daniel had that particular challenge, and then he survived.
He
so
got a chance to come out.
He is of the considered view that he will survive. So that case is before Justice Lydia Osei-Mafo, Lily, one of your favorite judges.
Yes. One of these days, I will definitely pay
have to be
a visit in the court.
You have experience with Justice Lydia Osei-Mafo and all that. So that case is one of the cases that we expect to happen. But as to whether that will come on, is also another issue altogether. Remember, the jurors are on strike. As of yesterday, they are still not back. I don't know if today they are present or not. So that case is also coming out.
Cocobot case?
Yes. The fourth witness, Seydou Agongo in Agri Court, is still in the witness box facing scrutiny. So today, before Justice Abuaji Tando, Land Court 2, it will still continue. Then we'll know more about what is. All that they are saying is that the accused person, Dr. Stephen Kobno-Puni, Seydou Agongo and Agri Court Ghana Limited, are saying that they've done nothing wrong, especially when they have been accused of purchasing fertilizer for cocoa farmers, which is worthless. They are saying that whatever they supplied was very, very active and it was good. Farmers had good yields, and so no financial loss has been occasioned.
Okay, thank you very much,
thank you,
Captain.
Lily.
I'll catch you on the flip side and obviously update us in subsequent programs and belts. That's it for court today.
The immediate and unconditional resignation or dismissal of Godfrey Dame for bringing the high office of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice into disrepute and public opprobrium. Clearly, Mr. Dame is not fit to hold himself out as Attorney General and Minister of Justice. He is unfit to be the leader of the Ghana Bar. The immediate and unconditional resignation or dismissal of Godfrey Dame for bringing the high office of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice into disrepute and public opprobrium. Clearly, Mr. Dami is not fit to hold himself out as Attorney General and Minister of Justice. He is unfit to be the leader of the Ghana Bar. Attorney General Godfrey Odami shot up from his seat to accuse Mr. Richard Japa of defending Ato Forson rather than himself. In response to the Attorney General's accusation, Mr. Japa, who was testifying under oath and felt attacked without provocation, dropped a bombshell that Godfrey Odami, the Attorney General, has been having clandestine meetings and telephone conversations with him to persuade him to falsely testify against the minority leader, Dr. Ato Forson, so that the prosecution can secure a conviction. So, Minister of Justice, you are not interested in justice. You are interested in just jailing somebody. You are supposed to be the person who will be delivering justice to your countrymen. You have now become the torchbearer of injustice.
So he had the national chairman of the largest opposition party, the NDC, Johnson Siedu Inketia, at a presser yesterday at the party's headquarters over the ambulance case. That begins our breakfast review segment. Welcome back. It's now time for the breakfast review, and like I mentioned, today there's a twist to it. We'll have a private legal practitioner who is a woman who will join us via Zoom for some legal perspective to it. But of course, we have a member for the NDC communications team. Haja Sadatu Alasan has joined us. Haja, good morning. I hope you're doing well.
I'm doing great. And you?
I'm doing awesome myself.
Always looking great.
Thank you. You look good too.
Thank you.
But before I come to Haja, let's go to Zoom. Let's get some legal perspective to the whole ambulance case. Amanda Akwoko Clinton is a private legal practitioner. She's the head of chambers for the Clinton Consultancy, and she joins us via Zoom. Amanda, good morning to you. Hi, Amanda. Good morning. Good to have you once again. If you can kindly unmute, I did not hear your response.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Great, great, great. Now, let me take your initial comments on the whole issues. I mean, for you as a lawyer, what's your perspective to this, first off?
That, you know, the integrity of the bar must always be protected. And I think that, you know, in the public interest for the justice system, as well as, you know, the integrity of the Attorney General's Department, first and foremost, a public inquiry would probably have to be set up in terms of in the public interest. But I think it would be too fast to ask for him to just resign, because a public inquiry can be a forum for him to at least publicly defend himself, which will affect, you know, the outcome at the Ghana Bar Association, if at all, and his future, you know, as the Attorney General, and, you know, the public perception. Because, you know, the court of public opinion is one thing, but I do think that, you know, one must, especially as a lawyer who has built his career, one must have a chance to properly lay out what he says are the facts, and for the public and for, you know, the parties involved and everybody else involved to then comment. But the automatic resignation without having a forum for him to set a case for himself would be completely wrong.
Audi alteram partem, obviously. In standard practice, does the law bar the prosecutor in any case from conferring with a defendant?
No, it doesn't, because, you know, if one looks online, for instance, right now, there is something called the Practice Direction on Plea Bargaining 2024. So it's a very recent document. And I think members of the NDC and the NPP should perhaps just, you know, stop the politics a little and then just go back to the practice directions, the act, and whether this was a legal act or not. For instance, it talks about who initiated the plea deal. A plea deal can be initiated by an accused person or counsel for the accused. So he didn't necessarily have to have his counsel present at first instance, even by published practice directions. And secondly, a prosecutor in charge of the prosecution of the accused can initiate. So that's the beginning of, you know, first test. And then the second test is, of course, was it inappropriate? Was it a plea deal, or was it a commercial transaction, as someone who used to be a Ghana law school recently said?
Now, you say there is nothing wrong. However, in the instance of him conferring with the accused person without the presence of his lawyer, does it breach any law at all? Or a judge, for
yes,
instance?
I'm not necessarily saying that there's nothing wrong, because with the revelation of the audios, for instance, it's very serious. You see what I mean? Because it borders on, is it just a plea deal, or was the third defendant being incentivized and wrongly incentivized? You see what I mean? So I don't necessarily say it's right. And then you have to look into the question of whether it was even a genuine audio. You see, a case is happening in the US, for instance, where a pastor's wife supposedly committed suicide. And then they said the audio she sent to the police might have been AI. It takes 15 seconds to generate AI. So if the Attorney General wants to make his case, and particularly in a public inquiry, they would have to have independent foreign and multiple verifications of that audio within and outside Ghana, and credible sources. Do you see what I mean? But it borders on a lot of things taking place. But I truly believe the integrity of the bar has got to be protected, the public interest of this particular case, and the moral justification of, was he morally right? And only a public inquiry can bring out these facts in a measured way.
Now, a former Chief Justice, Justice Papanko, has said the current judiciary has become predictable. From where you sit as a lawyer, has it become predictable?
Not at all. I think, you know, when I go to court, I'm before some extremely competent judges who are very well read and who take their job incredibly seriously. They can't be compromised in any regard. And so I just think that it's wrong to just paint the judiciary with one brush. And I think that the Attorney General's matter is drawing a lot of attention, and nothing but a public inquiry will perhaps redress that.
So you agree with calls for a formal inquiry into this? Should Shraj look into this? Because according to some people, it borders on administrative justice.
It certainly borders on administrative justice, especially if those audios are genuine. And the transparency of the process, credibility, integrity, you know, all parties should be open to be examined. But, you know, we also can't forget that this is an election year. And we've got a situation where it's 137 candidates each, one independent, and the leader of the NDC, you know, facing very serious charges with, you know, talks of multiple defendants trying to secure a plea deal. So there's a lot going on, and only a public inquiry can perhaps draw back a lot of that, or take back a lot of that politics, and just see, was there something very inappropriate that went on? And if it did, then perhaps he should resign. But we shouldn't be so quick to act. But we should be quick to see if there was misjustice, and if so, address that.
Back to the issue of the recording, I mean, we cannot prejudge. However, does this raise credibility issues for the Attorney General?
Very much so. I mean, very much so, because, you know, the former, I think, Director General of Ghana School of Law said he didn't find it to be a plea deal, but sort of a commercial transaction of you do this for me, and then I will do this for you. But again, I just think people should always go back to the law, go back to the practice direction of plea deals, which talks about charge bargaining, sentencing bargaining, and non-prosecution bargaining, and see where this negotiation fell under, and by anybody's standards, was it correct?
Should the Attorney General then step aside in this case and allow for other prosecutors in the face of all the allegations being thrown out?
It would seem very appropriate for this particular case, just because it's not about him. It's about justice being done and being seen to be done. And he has a lot of, you know, competent prosecutors that can perhaps lead on this as he focuses on other matters. But, you know, the Attorney General is someone who I have met. He has an incredible forensic mind, and he's one of the few Attorney Generals, you know, that actually does the work, in terms of he does a lot of work himself. You know, so he's put a lot of work into getting to the position he has. And so, although we do have the court of public opinion, we also have the practice direction of plea deals and how things should properly be done. And if it wasn't the case, then, you know, NDC and NPP members, you know, they can call for a resolution. You know, Parliament by a resolution can request that a commission of inquiry be appointed, or the Council of States can advise that it is in the public interest to do so. And so the proper forum is for the public to see how this is resolved, and by law and by practice direction, basically.
Well, this issue of recording and allegations from both the NPP and the NDC have any impact on the case?
The call for resignation?
The recordings and the allegations and counter allegations being thrown around, will it have any impact on the case?
Yes, I mean, the recordings go to the heart of whether this was appropriate or not. So if, for instance, members of the NPP are saying that the audio is not legitimate, you know, it's quite easy to determine. You know, there's multiple foreign and local forensic analysts who can look at this audio and put, you know, their signature to the document of verifying whether it's credible or not. But it would have to be very independent verifiers. And the NDC, of course, can also verify. But to the heart of this is the case. We don't want to put the case in jeopardy, and you know, the legitimacy of the case. So it is perhaps best for the Attorney General to step down for another prosecutor, and, you know, for the assessment of whether he was morally justified to be decided by, you know, a public inquiry, for sure.
Now, if in terms of the recording, some say that the third accused person, or the defendant in this instance, erred by recording the Attorney General. Can that be raised in court?
Well, I mean, if for instance, in this particular case, in terms of the case the third accused is in, the judge will probably call for counsel, you know, to just be deciding on how to proceed with the case first and foremost. But in terms of the audio, it would help both sides that it's played in public, you know, at a public inquiry. Because on the one hand, I think the Attorney General is saying that he was ambushed by the third defendant in the House of the Supreme Court judge for a plea bargain, and he didn't think it was appropriate. And then we saw these sort of subsequent audios. So who initiated it is important, but the subsequent audios is also important because the third defendant is also saying at odd hours he was asked to incriminate the leader of the minority, who wasn't in fact leader when these charges were actually brought. Yes.
Okay, Amanda.
But it's incredibly political. I mean, to tell you the truth, it's just incredibly political, this matter. And I just really think that in the interest of justice and for the protection of the integrity of the bar and the integrity of the Attorney General's Department, where I was at as well, this just has to be dealt with in a sanitized way at a public inquiry and not the court of public opinion and to score political points.
Well, the outcome of this particular case, whether it goes A or B, be misjudged, do you think?
Well, it's it's a lot to be said. Will it be compromised? Do you know what I mean? Will the outcome of the case be compromised? And the judge is there to ensure that the outcome of the case is not compromised in terms of assessing the evidence before her, etc. But if that audio does indeed show, and it is proven that it is the Attorney General's voice, encouraging a third defendant to change the nature of his evidence so that it more favors the prosecution, that would be very serious, because especially if the third defendant kept saying, well, there are agreements and the agreements show that it was legitimate in terms of the 4 transactions. And so I cannot go against that. So if the audio is genuine and he was trying to persuade the third defendant to completely change his testimony against the first defendant, that would be very serious and have serious implications, potentially.
Okay. Amanda, we'll leave it here for now. Thank you very much, as always, for speaking to us. So that's Amanda Akwoko Clinton. She's the head of chambers for the Clinton Consultancy and a private legal practitioner. Haja. But let's just listen to the NPP after the NDC's presser. The NPP says this particular recording was doctored. It was a cut to piece material. Let's listen to the NPP.
If at all, the only prosecution in this instance is the malicious and perennial dislike of the NDC towards the Attorney General since he assumed office, and the several attempts made by the NDC to stultify his work. The records are there clearly to show that right from his appointment as Attorney General, the NDC has spent one of the longest periods in our constitutional vetting system with the hope of impeaching his appointment. But the Attorney General remained resolute to their administration. You all watched the live telecast of his vetting in Parliament, and you saw what the NDC took him through. He survived the storm, and he's still our competent Attorney General. Having failed in all these endeavors, the NDC filed a motion for censure to remove Godfrey Dame from office as Attorney General soon after his appointment, but this also failed. The NDC have since his appointment held over 12 press conferences against the person of the Attorney General. What at all do the NDC want from this young man?
So that's Frank Davies, head of legal services, director of legal services for the NPP. Haja, you heard from your party, you heard from the NPP, you heard from a lawyer. Let me take your initial comments on this.
Lily, good morning once again, and good morning to our viewers and to the next President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the visionary leader who has promised Ghanaians that this whole corruption in all aspects of our governance will be cleansed when he becomes the president. Now, to just pass this comment, yesterday I slept in Dumso. And so I'm just calling on the attention.
Is that still Dumso?
perhaps you're not experiencing, but some of us, I don't know.
Well, I experience intermittent doom
okay.
so it's not like...
I had doom around 6 p.m. yesterday, and this morning I had to go and iron my clothes somewhere before I could get here. And so this is a reminder to the president that we still have doom and he should caution his people and fix it. Lily, Godfrey Dammy's case. I don't know if I should say it's Godfrey Dammy's case or Ato Forson's case.
It is the ambulance case.
The ambulance case. This whole issue is becoming so interesting, Lily, because if you listen to what the legal practitioner, I didn't get the name, was saying is that it is becoming too political.
Yeah.
And that is how Godfrey Dammy started this whole thing. It was just a political interest. It was something that Godfrey Dammy was doing to gain a political hype and clap right from the onset. Because this whole issue is in court. The NDC is not against any prosecution. The NDC is not against any legal proceedings. But when this whole thing started, the issue is that I don't want to go into the merits of this matter because yesterday I heard some of the judges cautioning for any prejudicial comments. And so I'll not go into the merits of this matter too much. But then if you look at this whole thing, it was a purchase of an ambulance. You claim it is not an ambulance and that it's a car. Ato Forson is not in court for causing financial loss to the state. Ato Forson is in court because he purchased an ambulance without an authorization, which on oath his boss, the former finance minister, Setekpe, has declared that he ordered him. And some others don't go with written statements. When we sat here initially, there was a little problem. Your producer walked in, he ordered you to do something, and you had to do it because it's coming from your producer. You get it? And so Setekpe has been in court and on oath has declared that, no, I ordered it. But then, and even at that, the company together with Ato Forson has spoken to Attorney General that, okay, if that is the case, we are willing and ready to refund the money and then take back the cars. The state itself, the Attorney General, is not really concentrating on the equipment that is going to complete the cars into ambulance, which the government has left it at the port for over 8 years. They're not interested in it. I'm only saying this so that we all get this clear. The Attorney General is not interested in the equipment which was used by taxpayers' money to be brought into this country that has been left at the port to rot. He's not interested in it. But he's interested in the person who purchased the vehicles or the ambulances without approval. And we are in court. Now, the third accused person, Mr. Japa. I am praying that he will be safe wherever he is.
How so?
Because I know this government, and I know what they can do. And I know to the extent they will go.
These are allegations you're making.
These
allegations. You cannot substantiate.
It was allegation last week. Audios have been proved. And yesterday, the funny part of this whole thing is that the next thing is that the MPP had a press conference and they said that the audio is doctored, accepted. Which part of it is doctored? They should come out and tell us. The fact that the MPP has accepted the fact that there is an audio, but then it is doctored, it means that there is an original audio. Do they have it? Can they provide the original audio so that Ghanaians can judge? In this whole thing, Godfrey Dammy is supposed to be a honorable man, a minister for justice. It is not a mistake that upon all the ministers in this country, all the positions of ministers we have in this country, the Minister for Justice is the only ministry that has been mentioned in the Constitution. This tells you how huge that office is, how important that office is, how sanity it is. And then you find a Minister of Justice trying to implicate an innocent man and take him to jail.
He's not been proven innocent.
With what we have heard so far.
But that is for the court to determine.
Lily, with what we have heard so far. And the amazing part of this whole thing is that Godfrey Dame was in court when Mr. Japa made this allegation. And I know, at least for the few times I have been in court, I know that when you are in court and there is an issue and you think you are not okay, you object it. And it's allowed. And this was after he has pushed Mr. Japa several times, and then the man had to let it out. That I am not here to defend Ato Forson, I'm here to defend myself. And if you are not careful, I will let the cat out. How many times you have persuaded me to implicate Ato Forson? He's in court. He didn't respond to this. The next thing is having a press conference.
He didn't have the press conference. His party did. He's out of the country's jurisdiction currently.
On the day they went to court?
Yes, he left a day before court.
So he couldn't respond
proceedings.
to an allegation?
Well,
an allegation?
Well,
Lily, listen, you know what?
There are some facts thrown into the media.
Lily.
It says that show that was invited. So it says the facts available to, it was by Asase Radio, by the way, shows that Yabu Adame was invited by a justice of the Supreme Court of Ghana to come to his house for a discussion. He obliged as would be expected, but had no indication that Japa would show up there.
Have you taken your time to listen to the audio?
Yes, I've listened to excerpts of it.
And have you listened to the part where Japa was telling Godfrey Dame that I cannot do that to an innocent man?
But that is not for Japa to determine. He's not a judge.
Because if you are telling me to say this and that to favor you, it means that you yourself know that that man you want to implicate is partially innocent.
Okay, so now you have qualified it partially innocent.
You get the point. If you are telling me that I should say your producer forced me to come here, your producer insisted that I have to come here, even when I don't have the topic, you are asking me to do that. It means that you know that your producer did not do that. This is a legal proceeding. You have your facts, you have done your checks, you have your evidences. Why have such conversation with the third accused? The only thing Mr. Godfrey Dame wanted is to jail Ato Forson, and then he'll be clapped. And only God knows how many people have gone to jail through this dishonorably act of his. And yesterday, I'm surprised today we don't have MPP communicators here. And I understand. Because
how do you understand?
Because it will be difficult to defend this. It will be difficult. The worst part was the press conference they had yesterday. Because eventually they didn't say anything.
What made it?
Initially, it was Sami Jemfi. Oh, let me just clap for that young man. That brave young communicator that NDC have. And his deputies, Malik Basintali. I'm very, wherever you are, Boss Sami Jemfi, I'm glad I am under your watch. Last week, it was Sami Jemfi is making an empty noise. And that he's just making things up. There is no evidence. And that they would bring the evidence of Ato Forson coming to plead for the case to be dropped. And so yesterday when I saw the press conference, I thought that is what they were going to do. I thought the MPP is coming to present to Ghanaians the so-called Ato Forson's plead he went to Mr. Japa to do. Only for you to come and be defending the indefendable. Why is the man in question?
Like
now,
I
when
said,
we say
he's
it
not
is
in
wrong,
the jurisdiction on a national assignment.
Oh, look, COVID has taught us a lot. Okay, during COVID era, we have learned a lot.
But he has able prosecutors who represent him.
Dami can be in India, can be wherever he wants to be, and still issue a statement by himself to defend himself. You get the point I am making. So it's not an excuse.
But in this instance, will he be defending himself or his office? In this instance, it is his office. And he had able prosecutors there. The Deputy Attorney General was there.
His office? Lily, for now we are dealing with Godfrey Dami. If it
as a Minister of Justice.
Of course. If it has to do with the office, it has not to do with the office. That is not the problem. The issue is who was in conversation with Mr. Japa? Who is Mr. Japa accusing? The audio evidences we have is directed to who? The screenshot of WhatsApp chat is directed to who? Why should we have a whole Minister of Justice in such an act? A disgusting act. What is the interest? And so that is where I say I agree with the legal petition. There is just a political target. A political bullet targeting the most important personality in the NDC. I have said this several times on your set, that the NDC is not against prosecuting any government official, past or present, in as much as the person is found guilty of any allegation. We don't have problem. We are not also doing all this just to call off the case, no. But we are doing this to expose the devilish act of a man we see in white, but then in reality is black. We are doing this to expose the wicked act of this government that we have always said, and they refute. Ghanaians think that, oh, it's NDC, it has to do with NDC, and it's NDC, and NDC always have something to say. That is not it. This whole thing has given me some sort of lessons I have to learn to be careful with some of my utterances, because the NPP can do everything, anything, at any time.
Is it just the NPP, or for us as humans to be very careful the things we talk about or the things we chat about with our fellow colleagues?
Just be honest to yourself. Just be honest with yourself. Lily, I don't have problem. I don't even have password on my phone. Because I don't have problem. Just be honest with yourself before God and man. That's all. Why should you be doing things that you don't want people to see? Why should you be doing things that you are afraid? And when I heard some of them say that Mr. Jagba have no right to record Mr. Dami, when he made that allegation, the first thing he was asked was evidence. And so if he had not done this, where do you think the evidence will come from?
Okay, Haja, let me hold you there and then engage security analyst Dr. Adam Bona for the security leg of this. There is a recording. The NPP claims that this particular recording was doctored. How can one ascertain if an audio or a video is doctored? Dr. Adam Bona joins us. Doc, good morning.
Good morning.
I hope you're doing well. Good to see you, as always.
Yes, good to see you too. And good morning to your in-studio panelists and your viewers.
Doc, the alleged audio in this discussion, in this trial that has come out, the NPP claims that this audio was doctored. From where you sit as a security analyst, from your lenses, can this audio be said to be doctored?
Well, when you listen to it, just a cursory, if you just ordinarily just listen to it, you would notice the consistency in the recording, the consistency in the dialogue. But apart from that, for some of us who play around, who do some of these things in terms of, debugging, and being able to decode some of these things. Listening to it and hearing that it was doctored, the question I asked was, how did they come to, because then if you tell me it is doctored, I would want you to tell me that you put it through a certain software, and the software failed to establish a certain format that, in terms of consistency, in terms of the pitch, in terms of the flow, and a few other parameters. But they couldn't do that. And so, as far as I'm concerned, if you ask me, listening to the audio as I have it, it's not doctored. Everything adds up. The dialogue was consistent, and you even realize that the recording was not done using a third-party equipment. It was done P2P. When I say P2P, where you record me, if it's a voiceover, voice over IP in terms of the WhatsApp call. WhatsApp calls are voiceover. These are not, what do you call it, direct calls, but then in terms of voice over IP, calls can also be recorded. And so you didn't use not one where you will say, you call me and I put it on a loudspeaker and I'm using another device and then put it on record and that device is recorded. That way you would see usually, you will see some noises. You will be able to see some waves, some noises. But you take it, put it into, if you have anything that will be able to establish consistency, you would see it is so consistent. You won't see any drop. In terms of Godfrey Dami in the dialogue, his tone was low. In terms of Richard Japa in the dialogue, his tone was high, which is, of course, what it is, because then the person recording is the person talking on the other side is not the other person recording. It's not the one recording, but the person recording is the one who you would hear his voice at a high pitch. And so the parameters are established. If you ask me, I will tell you it is not doctored. And I want anyone to look at it and say it is doctored. And even sometimes when you say doctored, you can go and look at the dictionary meaning of doctored. Doctored would mean that you go and bring something that is foreign and come and add it. And these are some of the things. But when you listen to the live dialogue, even to the point where the AG said, I hope you are not recording me. I think some of these appointees, when they are appointed, they need to be taken through some intelligence training. It's important because, when you listen to the dialogue, obviously the AG doesn't have any intelligence at all. When I say not intelligent, I'm not saying it's not intelligent. In terms of intelligence, when you talk about security
intelligence, okay.
Because he's talking to someone, and it looks like you can see the person is the one who is leading you into certain areas. Obviously, I think at a point he probably felt that maybe there's something wrong, and that is why he asked, I hope you are not recording me. Even when he said that, he still went ahead to say, if we can get the case stand down, by you going to procure a fraudulent, he didn't say fraudulent, that is my, the emphasis is mine. By you going to procure an excuse wherever from the hospital, all this, I'll be waiting for anyone to show proof that this is a doctor tape. It doesn't come anywhere closer to a doctor tape. No.
But then, can it then be said to be an edited tape? Because the NPP claims that it was cut and pieced together. Is there any way to detect immediately?
Say that again?
Is there any way to detect immediately that this was a cut and piece work?
Well, yes, there's a way to detect. If it's a cut, you would see. But even with a voice over, voice over IP calls, you sometimes when you are doing a WhatsApp call, you know that depending when you are in motion, or sometimes depending on the direction of the wind, you would lose network connectivity. So it will drop. But even with this, that did not happen. So for a voice over IP call, yes, you will still be able to establish by putting it through, technology to be able to establish, or listening to it, looking at the effects and listening to it well and understanding whether it's done. But looking at it from where I sit, listening to it yesterday, and playing around with it, I will tell you it's not doctored. No, it is not.
Will this have any impact on the case?
as in whether it's doctored or not doctored.
Yes.
Oh, but you know, the point is that there is no denial from the AG. The AG has not denied it, isn't it? The AG, he's a principal, he is the architect in this. The AG is a principal architect in this. He has all other persons who are talking are not the ones who have been caught on the tape. So whatever they say is so irrelevant. Whatever they say is so irrelevant. You see, I mean, sometimes I'll be called, you know, to come, you'll be asked to come into court sometimes. There are occasions where I've had lawyers wanting to procure my services to come and then give evidence with regards to how a certain technology was used and all that. You see, I'll be, if, for instance, if I am assuming my services, I am asked to come in, I'll be doing this as a professional. I'll be doing this as a professional where Richard Jappe's lawyers would cross-examine me, the AG's lawyers will cross-examine me if this goes to court. But what I'm trying to say is that the AG himself has not spoken. He is the one who had the dialogue with Richard Jappe. He has not spoken. He has not denied it. Apart from the contradictions from him, he really hasn't denied it. At a point where he actually said he was framed up. And you know, let me put it out there that I am aware of this story because the persons he's alleging, these are relations of mine.
Right.
And so as far as I'm concerned,
we know that Richard Jappe is your brother.
Yes. So as far as I'm concerned, the AG lied, and there's a lot of inconsistencies. The AG, the morning before the meeting, actually called Richard Jappe without the knowledge of GHOne Kulendi. GHOne Kulendi is our brother, myself and Richard Jappe. He called him without GHOne Kulendi knowing that he had had conversations with Jappe that he was coming to his house. So he gets to GHOne Kulendi's house. 5 minutes to 10 minutes, Jappe gets to the gate. And of course, I have an unfettered access to my big brother's house. He gets to the house and they open him. He comes and he's sitting with the old man, our big brother. And so he asked him to sit by the AG. Said he sits. Because he didn't know why he came. But I mean, if I'm going there, I usually don't call. I know the times he's usually not in court. So when I'm around his neighborhood, I pass by and I dash in there to maybe eat something and I dash out again. If you know. And so when you look at it, after jumping so quick to come and deny some of the things and trying to now frame up the Supreme Court justice, only for these things to come out. And like I'm saying, it is just total fabrications by the AG, because all these things, I will tell you that if the AG would be very candid with Ghanaians, if the AG would be very, and you see, I have said it, that we have the equipment in this country. And I'm sure your viewers know and yourselves know that some people have gone to jail for an equipment, and Israeli intelligence equipment that was procured to be able to piece some of these things together. Telephone calls, recording telephone calls and whatever, tracking people. Some people are in jail today. Some people are in jail. This was done during, I think, John Mohammed's time. It was procured. And I think for procurement issues, these people ended up in jail. Some people went to jail for this. We have the equipment, and there are other smaller equipment that can be used everywhere. And so you are able to track. Even Godfrey Dami, anybody who has his number, if the court is minded or anyone is minded to issue an order by the telecos, you will be able to establish the time he called Richard Jappe. You will be able to know the cell sites that routed his call to Richard Jappe's call and what time, and before he got to the his lordship, Justice GHOne Kulendi's house.
Should all these be tendered in court? Talking about the cell router.
The reason why this thing needs to be investigated. Because you see, people are talking without knowing that, you see, this day and age, this call, I mean, this conversation we are having, this conversation we are having is routed through a certain network.
Exactly.
It's routed through a certain network. And so if you want to show proof that you had a conversation with me, there is a way to tell how many minutes we spoke and all those things. So investigations would establish. And also, you see, mine is that the lies must stop. Because then after all this, I mean, for an AG, if you see how Japan Richard schooled our AG with regards to letters of credit, mine is that it doesn't augur well for the AG himself. And the excuses we have heard left and right here and there, mine is that there is a way to tell my movement. There is a way to tell where I am. There's the technology is there. We have the technology is there to put the pieces together, and the pieces have been put together. And if the AG wants, it will be put before him that he lied. And I am telling you that he lied.
Are you saying he lied because Richard Jakpa is your brother, and so you've listened to his side of the story?
No. Far from that. Far from that, because what but from you saw the WhatsApp conversation, so I'm sure you've seen it.
Right. I have.
You saw it, right?
Yes, I have.
You saw the WhatsApp conversation.
Yes, I have, sir.
Who initiated who started the arrangements for the meeting? Is it not him?
The Attorney General.
Exactly. But what I'm trying to say, you leave that aside. I am trying to say that the core records of the Attorney General connects him the morning before the meeting to Japan. It connects him the morning before the meeting. The morning before the meeting, it connects him. How many minutes they spoke, and how many minutes they spoke before he left, wherever he passed. And even the other people he called before he got to the house. So what I'm trying to say is that technology, this is not me saying it, but technology now makes it, is the reason why we all have to be careful. Technology now makes it very easy for where I'm sitting and talking to you, for anyone who is looking for me to pick me up, in the air and say he is actually hiding in this building. And they will come into the building and he can pinpoint which location of the building I am.
Yeah.
So we need to, let's not make it look like we are still in the 19th century or 17th century. We are talking about modern day technology that makes all these things very possible. Those days, it was not, if you wanted to talk to me, I had to drive to your studio or you talk to me by certain. But today you are seeing me. I'm sitting at the comfort of where I am, and you are in your studio, and we are talking, and the whole world is watching us. This is where technology has taken us to. And so what I'm saying is that I am not saying this.
Will it take this case to a different dimension where we now have to resort to technology to get to the bottom of this?
Oh yes, I'm sure when it gets there, it will be easy. But already technology has been able to establish some of the parameters. And one of the parameters who established the initial arrangement for a meeting, is there. It's in evidence now who established it and at what point. And I'm telling you that I am.
Dr. Bona, I lost your voice momentarily.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. If you can tilt your, okay, much better now.
There was interference.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is that in the morning before the meeting, he made a call. And if you are coming to my house, the expectations are that logically, I'll be waiting for you in my house. So when you look at the warp idea, it's been put around that the AG was ambushed, which is another palpable lie. If the AG was ambushed in Richard and the brothers' house, AG would have gone to meet Richard and the brothers sitting together. But rather, Richard met AG in his brother's house. And so common sense teaches us that if you are coming to my house, the expectations are that I'll wait for you. He would have come and Richard would be sitting with his big brother and they are conversing and say, oh, take a seat. But when he went in, because there's been a prior arrangement behind the what do you call it? His Lordship Justice GHOne Kulendu. We were also told that the recording was done in Justice Kulendu's house. But the record, I'm sure you now have the record. The record is clear that this thing was done by telephone.
Yes.
It was done by telephone. Because the AG started talking too early. He started talking without even knowing. I mean, and there are several of the audios there. There are several of them. So mine is that, as far as I am concerned, there has to be further proof into this. And as a minister of justice, you see, when you say someone is a minister of justice, he's supposed to be the defender of our civil liberties, the first defender of our civil liberties. Me and you, if we are in trouble, wherever we find ourselves in the world, the person who is supposed to be sent to represent the people of Ghana to free us is him. So it should never at any point get to a level where the person who is supposed to be defending our civil liberties would begin to coerce and begin to, get people to, what do you call it, do things that will allegedly implicate other people and send people to jail. In law, you are told that it is better to free 1,000 suspected criminals or criminals than to imprison one innocent person. Mine is that the AG should have known better. That if you have evidence, just go about. Don't use other means to procure, to ensure that your work is done for you so that you'll be celebrated whilst others suffer. So as far as I'm concerned, as a minister of justice, if you ask me, at this point in time, it's not suitable to represent all of us as our minister of justice.
But the NPP says...
We can put it aside. As for the AG, we can put it aside. But for the minister of justice, how is justice administered? As Lord Packer said, he said that it's a duty to be fair. So once that is lost on whoever owe it as a duty to be fair to the people he's supposed to, ensure that fairness or reasonability is given to them. And I mean, I would tell you that we are all not in safe hands. So are we saying that tomorrow, if there is, since 1992, NPP, NDC will come, MPP will come. So tomorrow, if there is change of government and these things are happening, Ghanaians, we should look on and say that it is time to send innocent people to jail. No, he's a minister of justice and it's not NDC, MPP. Our liberties have nothing to do with MPP, NDC. But we've reduced everything to NDC, MPP. Me and you, our liberties, it's nothing to do with NDC, MPP. It's innate. It's something that we're born with. Our liberties, until we do something where the law says that we should be, incarcerated. Our liberties, we should never joke with it. And so anybody who is paid to protect me and you, allow, to ensure that our civil liberties are strictly upheld, those people must ensure that these things are done and done right. And so for me, he's outlived his usefulness as a minister of justice. As for the AG, it's another thing. As a minister of justice for Ghanaians, no, I think what we are seeing doesn't augur well. So I'm absent. Today, there are several Ghanaians who are Ghanaians and non-Ghanaians on the soil of Ghana who are being sent to various courts for criminal prosecution by the court. And all prosecution has started and done on behalf of the AG. If you look at Article 88 of the Constitution, okay, are done on his behalf. And so, why would they be doing this? They will be doing.
Mr. Bona, I've lost your voice. Oh, I lost Mr. Bona there, but I hope he rejoins us. But Haja, you've had.
Yeah, I was loving the conversation. I was loving the conversation. It is getting more interesting.
Okay, Mr. Bana is back. Mr. Bana, you're making a point. But the NPP says the calls for AG's resignation are uncalled for. The AG will not resign. And obviously, as is coming from the NPP, means the president will not fire him. What should be done?
For me, let's have me on record that at least when this thing broke, just as we would always have our opinion, it's not about politics or someone saying the president. Well, I mean, it's up to the president to ask him to step aside or what have you. But mine is that the good people of this country, I mean, lawyers, senior lawyers have spoken. And I've asked for him to step aside. Is president to ask him to go or to ask him? But like I said, I asked a question, a rhetorical question. You don't need to answer it. Do you think he's fit to be our Minister of Justice? It's a rhetorical question. Don't answer. Do you think that Godfrey Dame, Mr. Godfrey Dame, is fit to be our Minister of Justice from now on? It's a rhetorical question. Because then I would want to be treated fairly. If I ever ended up in either a civil matter with the government or a criminal matter, I would want to be treated fairly. And for civil and criminal matters, he's a representative of government. He's our representative. I would want to be if I feel that I'm suing government, if I sue government for some breach of my fundamental rights in a civil court, I expect that I'll be treated fairly and not abused. If the state has a reason to say maybe there's something that I need to be, that must be brought against me, I expect to be treated fairly. Mine is that the administration of justice is something that we must respect and cherish. Because some of us lived through the times of coups, and we saw how deplorable our humanity, how things happen before 79 and 79 thereabout. And so mine is that we cannot be toying with our liberties and, the justice delivery. We will make the call, but it's to those who, let's have it on record that when this thing happened, we all raised these concerns and said that if it's bad, let's say it is bad. I mean, let's say it is bad. The venerable, what's the name? Chachuchi Kata was sent to jail for a non-existing law. And in our statutes, you cannot send someone to jail for a non-existing. I mean, he's out now. And others have suffered there. I mean, when you look at any one who understands a bit of the law will tell you the Riakoto, you can talk about the Salah versus the Republic. There are several cases where, anyone who understands a bit of the law will tell you that administration of justice is very important. It doesn't matter your color, the color of your skin. It doesn't matter the party you belong to, the region you come from, the country you come from. The justice delivery system must apply. It's a universal declaration that we all have the right to, to live, the right to free movement, the right to, all the rights, until such a time that a competent court decides that, no, you have done this.
Right, Mr. Bana.
Go and hide behind the protest.
Mr. Bana, thank you very much for your insights. We'll leave it here for now. That's Dr. Adam Bona. He is a security analyst. Hajia.
So from Lily, as I said earlier on, it's becoming interesting. From the security analyst, I can now discuss this audio with at least some sense of
appreciation of facts.
Yes, if I should use that word. Because he has educated us this morning. I'm sure you are educated.
Absolutely.
That there is a way to find out if it is doctored. That is why I said that. Yesterday, I was not expecting the MPP to have the press conference they had. And I feel like since this issue began, I've not heard from the president, which I'm disappointed.
But that's why the courts are there. The law courts are there. It is not the president's doing to speak on it.
Lily,
Must the president comment on every
the
issue?
former is it MC or DC stood in public and then asked who said Chia. Did you see how His Excellency John Dramani Mohammed dealt with him? He was eventually sacked.
But this is a different case.
This is a different case, yes.
This is administration
this is
of
a
justice.
huge allegation leveled against the Minister of Justice. And you think that the president do not have anything to say? A president who is supposed to be...
What are you expecting the president to say?
A president who is supposed to be a lawyer.
And a former attorney general.
And a former attorney general.
What are you expecting the president to say?
At least there should be a statement coming from the president.
But it has not, well, the court will establish whatever it is. These are, for now, they are allegations. It will go back to court. The case was supposed to be back in court tomorrow. It's in court on Tuesdays and Thursday, but the case will not be in court tomorrow. But it will come back in court on Tuesday.
Let us stop putting this whole issue together. The trial of the ambulance is on its side. This issue is another topic of discussion.
But it will have to be determined whether...
Of course, it will be put together because it's an evidence Jakpa have against the Attorney General.
Exactly.
But this is an allegation, a very serious one at that. Just as Mr. Bona said, this is somebody who is supposed to fight for the liberty of this country. Okay? And I am surprised by now there has not been petition against his removal, and then what we keep hearing is that the allegation needs to be substantiated before anything can be done.
Obviously.
In the first place.
In law, audi altrum partem, you need to give the other party a fair chance of hearing.
Nobody is denying that fact.
But you want him to be thrown under the bus even before
No,
he's being heard. You expect the president to speak on it.
Lily, you didn't get the point I am making.
Okay, maybe you need to come again so I can...
Together with Adam Bona, we are on the same level. The Attorney General has not responded.
Not yet.
Right from the day Mr. Jakpa made this allegation until yesterday,
there was a response.
The audios came out, and then the screenshot of WhatsApp message. There has not been a response with regards to that. That is one thing.
Let's quickly listen to the audio, and then we can continue the conversation.
Content of this recording, after which I'll make some important observations. To the content of this recording, after which I'll make some important observations.
Yes, but then the financial instrument for the project is an irrevocable letter of credit. So that credit letter has already been sent.
The contract requires that you pay by extra credit.
Yes, in addition, we should establish it upon the front of the contract. So already you have paid
upon the front of the contract for every 50 ambulance.
Yes. Upon the front of the contract for every 50 ambulance, since there was no advance mobilization, advance payments, that LC was a security that you have to establish ahead.
No problem. The front of the contract for every 50 ambulance. It is a contract for every 50 ambulance.
Pardon?
It is a contract. I'm saying upon the front of the contract for every 50 ambulance.
Yes.
It is a contract for every 50 ambulance.
That confirmed that both from the force procuring all the accessories and everything to manufacture. So the manufacturer will use his own money to buy the ambulance vans, all the accessories from across the globe. With the security from government being the LC. And the LC has conditions precedence.
Yeah, appointments not mean paying in advance of the delivery of the goods.
They say no advance payment.
Yes, advance payment means that you are paying before the goods are delivered to you.
No, they said no advance payment. Not that there's advance payment.
To the content of this recording, after which I'll make some important observations.
Yes, but then the financial instrument for the project is an irrevocable letter of credit. So that credit letter has already been sent.
The contract requires that you pay by extra credit, not so.
Yes, in addition, we should establish it upon the sign of the contract. So already you have paid.
Upon the sign of the contract for every 50 ambulance.
Yes. Upon the sign of the contract for every 50 ambulance, since there was no advance payment, that LC was a security that you have to establish ahead.
No problem. The time the contract for every 50 ambulance, it is a contract for every 50 ambulance.
Pardon?
It is a problem. I'm saying upon the sign of the contract for every 50 ambulance.
Yes.
It is a contract for every 50 ambulance.
Letters that confirm that, both from the boss, procuring all the accessories and everything to manufacture. So the manufacturer will use his own money to buy the ambulance vans, all the accessories from across the globe. With the security from government being the LC. And the LC has conditions precedence.
Okay. Yes, appointment of me paying in advance of the delivery of the goods.
They said no advance payment.
Yes, advance payment means that you are paying before the goods are delivered to you.
No, they said no advance payment, not that there's advance payment.
Okay, so Haja, you had once again you've listened to the audio. Why are you quiet?
No, Lily. So how come we got here? What is it about this government? Right from the day Domlevo was changed, I smell this. I knew that there is some obvious reasons for the removal of Domlevo.
What does it have to do with all this?
Because, Lily, it has everything to do with what is going on right now. You bring someone from your political colors just to target people for political gains. And this is exactly what is happening. The man is telling you that what you are asking me to do is not it. That is not it. Look, that is why in my first submission, I was asking you, that is the Attorney General really interested in saving the public purse, protecting the public purse? Let me use that, that English. Because we have the equipment of this same vehicle we are talking about at the port.
Yeah, correct.
But then you prefer to let that one rot and then deal with a man just because he has no authorization. Not causing financial loss. That is one thing we should all get it clear. Ato Forson is not in court for causing financial loss to the state. Ato Forson is in court for purchasing ambulance without authorization. And then you go the extra mile to bargain with someone and even telling him what to do in court just so you could jail Ato Forson for your political hype. How did we get here when we have a lawyer as a president, a former attorney general? How long has this been going on? I pray that we have a lot of Jakpa out there to save the innocent ones from going to jail. Because if Jakpa do not have that strength, that ability to resist and insist on the honest way of dealing with this issue, by now we would be singing a different song. By now, Ato Forson would have been in jail, and MPP communicators will get here before I will get here, and they will be shouting on top of their voice and clapping that they have jailed Ato Forson. This is justice we're talking about, Lee. I am afraid. Look, this whole discussion we are having, I'm being careful. Because if a whole Ato Forson is going through this, send me the SSC and I'm a call. By the time I get to your doorstep, somebody is waiting for me to pick me up. What is it about this government? Do you know how many times this government in opposition have shouted and complained almost about everything and still walk out free? Yes, because what do you call it? Ato Forson is there to protect our finances. It's there to make sure that no money will go without what do you call it? Proper due diligence of account for it and all that. And so we need to get Ato Forson out by all means. My mind goes back to when the majority leader said, "Hey, Ato Forson. Hey, Ato Forson. Hey, Ato Forson." It means that you want show if you are not careful, what will do to you? And that is exactly what God has exposed them. Attorney General. And that one cries aside. Minister for Justice. And Lily, when I said I've not heard the president or issue a word over, and you say, what am I expecting?
Exactly.
At least let's hear the president say something. At least he should say what he said to Cecilia Dapa. At least let him come out and say that I know all this is a fabrication, and that I'll make sure that my government will make sure that the legal procedures will go through it, and then it will be scrutinized, and then the truth will come out.
we have not heard from the Attorney General. You want the president to jump the gun?
Which is why the president should be more worried.
Exactly. Don't
that you have a minister who has been accused of such a devilish act, and it has been backed with evidence, and you've still not heard a word from that minister, and you are quiet. As it stands now, the president has nothing doing now, Lily. He's only waiting to hand over. The president is waiting to hand over. He has nothing to do.
He's still the man in charge.
He's the man in charge. What is he doing now?
You think he doesn't have anything to do?
Lily, what is he doing?
Well, I can't tell. I don't have his itinerary. So
Where is he? When last did you hear from him? Where has he been? And so some of these things should be a matter of importance to him. Especially when he is a lawyer. Especially when justice is what he has been calling for.
But how sure are you that behind the scenes he's not in talks with the people with the people at the helm of affairs?
Are you? Let's wait and see. That is what I can say. Let's wait and see. At least let's wait and hear from the Attorney General himself to see how he's going to defend. Because what do you call Nana B and his people did, the legal
Lawyer Frank Davis
did yesterday was just an act of, I mean, how do I say this in English? I mean, wipe away some shame small, because this is too shameful. And I understand why MPP communicators are not talking this morning.
One of their national executives yesterday made a post, Abdulaziz Futa. He said, "I'm really sad as a Ghanaian. I'm an executive of the NPP, but seeing a whole lawyer Frank Davis defending this, let's call a spade, my brother. Godfred's conduct is a disgraceful one."
That is what I'm expecting the president to do. Not to say this exact words, but to be saddened with what is happening. When George Floyd was killed in U.S., the next moment, the president is on Twitter and on Facebook tweeting, Black Lives Matter.
But don't you think...
At least let him come and tweet and tell Ghanaians that he's saddened from what is happening, even though I do not trust, even though I trust my appointee, but I think...
He's a lawyer. He understands the law better. He doesn't want to be prejudicial.
You think so?
Yes.
Lily.
For somebody who is once an attorney general.
No, why are you saying that the president is a lawyer and that he understands?
I'm saying this because he doesn't want to be prejudicial. He doesn't want to make any comments.
How many times has the president been prejudicial in this country? How many times? On Jatu case, he was prejudicial.
Then the NDC has come out to lambast him for being prejudiciary.
Okay.
So maybe he wants to take...
So for the president to tweet and say that I am saddened with what is happening in our legal system, even though I trust my
if you say it happening in the legal system, that is against the judiciary.
How?
You say if he's saddened by what is happening in our legal system, it means that whatever is happening in the judiciary is going negative.
But is it going positive?
But how do you
Lily,
ascertain?
do you think what is happening is going positive?
But how do you ascertain?
This
is not a judge.
For Godfrey Dami to even accept the fact that he has met with Jakpa.
But no law bars him from doing that. No law bars. You heard from the lawyer. No law bars him from conferring with him.
Listen. This is a case you are handling. He's
a prosecutor.
I'm coming. This is another suspect. You're not.
He's a defendant in the case. Yeah.
You're not meeting with Jakpa together with Ato Forson because Jakpa is the third accused person. Yeah. So why are you meeting one accused person secretly behind the other when they are in this together?
But
if there is nothing fishy about it, Lily. If there is nothing fishy about it, why? That is one. Two, you are in court.
I get your point.
You are in court when Jakpa made the statement. You didn't say anything about it. And then Lily, you're telling me that the president don't want to be prejudicial. He has been doing this for God knows how long. And so what is prejudicial about this? Godfrey Dami has tarnished the reputation of the legal system entirely. So if you hear from, if you listen to the legal practitioner, what she said is that sanity needs to prevail. Unless something should be done to bring back the sanity in the legal system. Because I will not in any way, and Adam Bona also repeated it, in any way trust trust Godfrey Dami for any justice. If Dami is still the Minister of Justice, whoever he judges from today till the day he leaves office, I will see that person to be an innocent person. Because this act alone is uncalled for. It's disgusting. It's shameful. Honestly speaking, it's shameful, Lily. We shouldn't. Right.
Anyway, we'll leave it here for now. Haja, thank you very much. So that's Haja Sadatolas, and she's a member of the NDC communications team. We had Amanda Akwoko Clinton. She's a private legal practitioner, and Dr. Adam Bona, a security analyst. That's it for the breakfast studio. We are back shortly. Welcome back to the show. This is still GH Today here on GHOne TV. So yesterday was a World Menstrual Hygiene Day. We're going to talk about it here on the health segment. It's now time for Health Alert. Welcome back to the show. It's now time for Health Alert. And yesterday was World Menstrual Hygiene Day. And so today we get to talk about menstruation. We want to demystify the myths and misconceptions associated with menstruation and help access to information for every woman and every young girl out there. There's a quest to make sanitary towels free. Should this call be adhered to? My guest this morning, I have Abigail Ogron-York. She's a senior midwife with PPAG. When I was young, I used to hear a lot about PPAG, Planned Parenthood Association of Ghana. Antoinette DeRocha is project coordinator with PPAG. I also have Irabna Kwebadaze. She's technical program manager, health and nutrition for World Vision. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Good to have you.
Good to have you.
What do we say? Happy Menstruation Day.
Happy Menstrual Hygiene Day.
Happy Menstrual Hygiene Day. But let's talk about menstruation, the make of menstruation, and how for us as women it is important to us.
Abigail will take it, yeah.
Auntie Abigail, you want to take it?
Yeah. We say good morning to all viewers, and we are from Planned Parenthood Association of Ghana. We talk a lot about women's health and do a lot for women and men as well. So we are saying that menstrual flow or menstruation, we call it the period or the menstrual flow, it's made up of the wearing off of the inner lining of the womb. We call it the endometrium. and then is the inner lining of the womb and the dead egg. At the end of every month, every woman releases an egg. So when the egg comes, we expect that it should be fertilized with a male sperm. But if it is not fertilized, the egg is disappointed, so it dies off. And then the beautiful bed that has been laid, so that when fertilization takes place, it will just settle itself in there till we deliver. That bed that is laid is of no use because the egg is already gone. So it comes out, it said the womb is weeping because nothing happened. So everything comes out as the menstrual flow. So if we say menstruation, that is menstruation. And every month, every woman goes through that cycle. We said it's a cycle. Yes, we have a phase where the egg is released. We have the phase where the egg dies. We have the phase where the egg is forming and then it's maturing. We have all those phases. So at the end of the month, when nothing happens, everything comes out and then the cycle
Does that
starts
mean that
once
every
again.
woman must go through menstruation?
Ideally, yes. At a certain age. Now, before then it was 18, 17, but now as early as 9 years, they start. And some even, as they are going through the pre-menstrual things and the person happens to be raped or there is sexual activity, pregnancy happens.
That is the pre-menstruation phase?
Yes.
Okay.
So that is why we are saying that every woman should be very, very close to the daughter from that age. So that when she's going through some of these things, you should be able to explain to her what she will be going through. And therefore, if maybe the person is lured into something, she can say no or stand up and say no to whatever, because at that time, pregnancy can happen.
A number of women experience painful menstruation. Yeah. Is that a natural phenomenon, Antoinette?
So thank you very much, and good morning to our listeners. Good morning to the executive director as well as the council members of PPAG. I would say it's not supposed to be natural, but it's natural because of how the Auntie Abi mentioned that the shedding off of the uterus, and then also when it is shedding off, there is this contraction, and so that brings about the pain. Even during ovulation, there is also pain because once the eggs are released and it passes through the fallopian tube, you feel a sharp pain at the abdomen level. Yes, and this pain, it's not every woman that experiences this pain, because we have some women who don't experience pain at all during their menstruation, and that is also normal because we vary. We are not the same. All women vary, and we are all made differently, or let me say we all experience things differently. And so you don't expect that whatever would happen to one particular woman should happen to the same thing should happen to another woman. And so it varies. Even when it comes to the cycle, it varies. Every woman in their own cycle. And we are able to determine our cycle by checking it for 3 consecutive months to be sure that, okay, now I am a 28-day cycle, I am a 32-day cycle, I am a 33. So it all varies. Even when it comes to the flow and the number of days we flow, it varies from persons to persons. People flow for 3, people flow for 4, people flow for 5, 7. So it varies. It's not a one cup fits all. Yeah. So it's the pain too is there. But most of the time, most adolescents, when they go through this pain, some drop out, should I say drop out of school, or some will not go to school and absent themselves from class because of the pain. But what we've realized is that some also would try to take painkillers, or yes, just
Is it wrong?
Yes. it is wrong because in taking these painkillers, it will get to a time, it will get used to your system. And so where you need it more, it will not work. And then that is why people would come out and tell you that when I take paracetamol, it doesn't work for me. Because you've taken it over a period of time and so you've abused it. And so when the need arises and you need it and you take it, it wouldn't work. So we advise that, yes, it's painful, but when you get warm tea and you sip during that pain period, it minimizes the pain for you. Or if you're at home,
do all people have the luxury of sitting to even sip or having? Some people, I used to have a mate right back in secondary school. During her menstruation days, she would use the loo. She cannot sit. She will vomit. She's practically
everywhere,
useless, for want of a better word. How does this person just sit and take sip tea?
Yes. So everybody, as I said, it's different. So they go through phases. And as you said, yes, if she cannot sip, there is also the option of making a warm water, getting a towel, and then you use it to massage the abdomen to free you from the pain. Yes, so it happens, and you might not be able to even do the tea, but at least you can do a hot water within the time that you are free and you are not vomiting or visiting the loo. You can just do the hot water, put towel in it. First, I would say we should use the hot water bottle, but I had a personal experience with hot water bottles, so now I don't really recommend it.
What was your experience? Because for a lot of people who use hot water bottle, maybe they will be educated.
Okay, so I'll say last year I used hot water bottle, and I think it's either it was very old and so it has become weak, but I didn't check it, and I used it and I placed it on my abdomen. So you see that with the hot water bottle, you are supposed to even wrap it with something, but most of the time I didn't wrap it because I felt the pain was just the pain was just too much, and so I just placed it there. And in an attempt to just take it out, in pulling it, it tore. And so the hot water poured on my abdomen and everything, and I had to be bedridden for a while.
Ooh, yeah, she beautifully cooked her abdomen.
So that is why I'm saying that, yes, it's a good product, but I feel that when you would use it, you need to wrap it with something so that
the interesting thing, most of these water bottles coming protective covers.
Yes, some come with the protective cover, some don't. So you still have to cover it. Even with the protective cover, it's light, it's not heavy. And you know that after a while, because it is confined, the water is in the bottle, it becomes more hotter as the time goes on. And so even if you've gotten a cover, you still need something to cover it, to help. So I was like, okay, this is my own negligence. And so if I had covered it, at least in picking it out, it would have. Thank you. But here is the case, I did it raw, and so it didn't get anywhere to pour, but it poured on my body. So that is why I prefer to educate people to rather use the towel in the warm water and then place it in the abdomen. At least with that,
does the pain ever go away?
So it calms down. It doesn't really go away, as people would say. If you start having sex, it will go away.
If you start having children,
it will go. No.
Oh, so that's a misconception.
It's a misconception. It's a myth. Because I have had 2 children and I still have severe pains. I have severe abdominal pain. It would even affect my waist. Sometimes I can't sit well. And I remember when I was an adolescent, it was worse off, just like you were talking about your friend. I literally crawl on the floor when I'm in my menses. And so if I have gone through that pain and I have given birth, someone will say, oh, then it should go. But no, I experienced it. Yeah, but it's still the same. Just that probably now I don't crawl, but I feel the severe pain as it is. And so most of the time when that time of the month come, you see me very calm. I will not even talk to you because I know what I'm going through. And I don't want to add my wahala to anybody.
Menstruation, must it always come through the vagina?
So yes, that is the ideal process.
Because I have seen somebody who there
are,
say that.
Yes. I have also witnessed a young person in Legon who mentioned it comes in the palm. I actually wanted to to see it. And so when it happened, one of the students on campus said, Auntie Antoinette, come, my friend is suffering and she can't do anything with the palm. The palm is reddish. And yes, so it is there, but it has still not been proven whether that is menstruation. And we are waiting to get that feedback, and then we can boldly
Science to back it.
Yes, then we can boldly say that, yes, it is part of menstruation. But yes, it is there. We have people who experience it in their palm, but yes, that it hasn't been
Now, what
confirmed.
accounts for proper menstrual hygiene?
Yes, so good morning to your cherished viewers and good morning to the senior leadership, World Vision Ghana, and my director, Integrated Programs Director. So menstrual hygiene, when we say hygiene, hygiene is cleanliness. Hygiene is devoid of infection. Hygiene, it's where you are not you are not doing things that is going to give you more instances of getting infected. So hygiene is more of infection prevention control. And so menstruation, the way it comes, it's such that you are expected to be hygienic. You are expected to use very hygienic materials. You are also expected to have water available. You are expected to have a washroom where you can free yourself, because like you mentioned, some people go to the loo so many times during that period. Some people have heavy flow, and so they need to change themselves often. So if they don't have a hygienic space, then it means that they co-infect themselves. So there is sometimes even in health facilities, when people are menstruating and they go to the facility and they want to change themselves, they pick up other infections because it's a facility and there is that health hospital acquired infections already there. Somebody had another ailment, went to the washroom. You also went to the same washroom to go and change your pad, and you pick infection. And so hygiene in menstruation is very, very important. It's important because it prevents vaginal discharge. It prevents uterine infections. And it's important because it gives you good health and it makes you comfortable.
How do we ensure a period-friendly world?
A period-friendly world. How sweet it is.
Yeah.
You see, let me quickly add on to what my colleagues said. When you are in your period, the cervix or the opening of the womb, it opens a bed so that whatever that is inside will come out. So that if you put anything that is dirty or anything that is infected there, the infection travels through. It goes up there. And therefore, you need to be extra hygienic during that time. You know, back then, our mothers used to use their old rags. Definitely. So when it is time, they use it, and then after they wash it, and then hang it on the sun, and take it off before the sun settles down, so that it will keep it warm. It has destroyed anything that is in it that will bring them infections. And then they pack it up, put it somewhere, very hygienic. They put it inside their bags so that by the next period, she can use it. So yes, if this is what you want to use, we encourage you to do that. And then now that we have pressing irons, you can even iron it before you put it there, so that if anything has entered, it will just destroy it. Now we have the parts. We have a lot of them, different types.
You have tampons, you have menstrual cups.
Everything, a lot of them. So how do you make it hygienic for you to use it? You see, women are such that there are certain things we don't want to expose ourselves to. Because when the girl is in a period and she soils herself, it's very difficult for her to walk around with it.
It gives your confidence.
Yes. Seriously. So we want a place where they can change as and when. and then they will feel comfortable. Because if you are a heavy bleeder and then you don't change your part, you feel very uncomfortable. So therefore, we say as and when, depending on your flow, you can change in between time. So how do we do that? That is when you have the parts and you can change it as and when. And we are saying that if the woman changes the periods in between time, she feels comfortable. She doesn't even feel that there is anything going on. When the person is using the tampon is inside. But then if she is to pull it out, she can do it anywhere. She can do it comfortably in the area where you've created a space for her to do that. That is, you are creating a comfort for the person during that time. We are saying that the price of the pad,
sanitary pad,
there shouldn't be any tax. There shouldn't be. It's not a luxury. It is a natural process that happens to every woman. If I'm going to buy my V5, V8, V whatever, and you give me any tax, I will pay because it's for myself and my luxury. But menstruation is not a luxury. It's a natural process. And every man and every woman is a product of menstruation. And therefore, we are pleading with our policymakers. It should just scrub it off. And then we create a space where people can even donate to the schools, the kayayes, wherever women gather.
In rural Ghana.
Yes, they should provide sanitary pads for them so that if it happens anytime, maybe the person might not be conscious of when it's coming and it happens, you can easily pick. So, you see, when we go out there in our in their washrooms, they have sanitary pads there so that if it happens there and then, you have something to hold on to. So we are pleading that it should be even in the offices, in the schools, in wherever women gather. This thing should be there, free for them to pick and use.
Now, what is World Vision doing to ensure that we have a period-friendly world, like I asked them?
Yes, so just to tap a little bit, when I remember one time I was going for a meeting, it was a kind of high level. Then I just drove at Alisa, then boom, I saw that so I quickly went to the washroom and I wrapped some tea roll and I put there. And I know that a lot of women out there can really relate to this experience. Even we, the educated ones, we that we feel we are elite and we know everything. How much more the rural Ghana woman who is on the way to the farm or who is in the market and places like that. And so the tax on the menstrual hygiene product, what we are saying is that it makes the product expensive. Assuming we are slashing at least half of the cost from it. If I'm buying a menstrual product for 10 cedis, I can buy for a friend. And I can save some money. So we should scrape the tax on it. Now, for World Vision, we have interventions under social behavioral change communication. We have one under community level system strengthening and sustainability. We have one under infrastructure. And also we have one among the youth advocates. So the first one under the social behavioral change communication, we help adolescents to understand their cycle through the use of these beads. And so this is the menstrual bead. And so we train the young girls how to understand their cycle with the beads. And when they understand with their beads, they are able to know when next their period is coming and also how to prepare adequately for it. There are instances where the girls get soiled, they soil themselves in school, and it's not a shameful act. It's dignifying. At least we should adore those people. But we notice that in schools, that girl become an object of tease. And everybody laughs at those girls. Some of them are shy. And so the period of that week, they stay out of school. For some of them as well, most of us can relate because it happened to us when we were in JS. Yes. And for some girls as well, once they have that instant, some of them just drop off of school. And it has also happened severally. Apart from this, there's also another intervention with the kids club. We have a reading camp and a kids club, and so they are child advocates that we provide them with pads, and then we empower they themselves to be able to get savings for the pads in their kids corner so that other kids can pick. The savings for transformation is also the community level sustainability and health system strengthening, where the community already save for their livelihood and they give out the loans to improve each other's business. When they give out the loans, they make profit. And so the profit that comes, we advocate that they buy part out of it and share to the community, which is going on very well. And some areas like Fantiakwa, it's an intervention. Then when we move to the infrastructure bit, all the toilet facilities that we construct, we include a changing room for schools, for hospitals, and for health facilities in the community. We include changing rooms so that girls are able to go there to change. In addition, we do advocacy like what we are here doing now and saying that we are pleading with the government. Last year, they did good. They took it off the parts that are produced in country.
Locally.
But, yes, locally produced. But now we are saying that the imported ones, we should not be taxed. They should not be import taxed. They should not be COVID-19 taxed. They should not be nothing at all on it. So that it will be cheaper for us because we know that locally there are very few countries that are manufacturing, few companies that are manufacturing in country. Yeah.
What is PPAG doing, finally, before we go?
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. And so PPAG is also engaging the young people in clubs, in schools, and within the communities where we try to teach them the reusable parts. So this one was made by a young person so that they will be able to sustain themselves at least. So they do this within the communities so that they are able to use it. Since they can't afford this one. And this is also very economical. And so they can use it for a long period of time. And it comes in a pack of 6 and a pack of 12. And so we teach them and then they can make it on their leisure time, just sewing it, and then you'll be able to do it. Aside that, we also try to advocate and also talk to the young people to be bold. They should also not be stigmatized by the boys. So in our education, we also include the boys so that they would see what the girls go through by the girls sharing their experience, their first experiences when they menstruated, what they went through, and how they were able to manage it or what they were told by their parents. And then we also engage the boys to see if they've even seen a pad before, they know how to wear it. And so sometimes we let the guys do the demonstration, yes, just to encourage the girls and also to encourage the boys, for them to know that you are not supposed to tease the young girls whenever they menstruate, and it's no fault of theirs, but it's part of their developmental changes, and so you should embrace it and you should support them during those times and not to tease them. Aside that, we have other projects that are running. We have one for teenage mothers and then teen parenting, where during the sessions we also inculcate the menstrual hygiene and also share parts to them and also provide them with kits, especially with the pregnant ones, so that it will help them in their delivery safely. So we do all this, and then we also give them access to services at our facilities. So PPAG has facilities across 10 facilities where we are able to give them youth-friendly services when it comes to sexual and reproductive health. And so when they come, they actually come for free. Yeah, they don't really pay anything as young people. And so we are trying our best to do more.
Thank you very much for coming.
You are doing a lot. Digital.
We are also into the digital services.
Okay. So this morning we've been talking about World Menstrual Hygiene Day, demystifying the myths and misconceptions associated with menstruation. My guests have been Abigail Ogron-Yok, she's senior midwife at PPAG, Antoinette Derosha, project coordinator with PPAG, and Iraba Kwebadazi, technical program manager for health and nutrition at World Vision. Thank you very much, ladies. It's been great having you. Yes. That's it for Health Alert.
And our next conversation is about the upcoming annual African Investment Risk and Compliance Summit. And we've been joined via Zoom by Ajwa GHOne, and she is the CEO of the EBII Group and investment risk and compliance expert. And we'll talk about this summit and, of course, some of the things that we're going to be focusing on. Good morning. Welcome to GHOne TV and GH Today.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for your time. So I want to ask, first of all, many African countries, including Ghana, are faced with severe developmental challenges, though they are blessed with vast natural resources. It seems to be a very big problem on the African continent. What is amiss?
Well, thank you. That's a very good question. So Africa is home to about 30% of the world's mineral reserves, 12% of the world's oil, 8% of the world's natural gas reserves, and it also holds about 40% of the world's gold and up to 90% of chromium and platinum. But the reality is that we just produce only 5.5% of their output. And that means that the sector has not been able to generate enough opportunities for African businesses in the supplier segment and also the value chain. And because of that, we are so what's happening is we export everything in a raw state, and the African continent are not producing enough. And that's one of the challenges that is being faced. We don't even determine how much we sell these raw materials in the market. The second challenge is also lack of transparency in how revenues from our natural resources are spent. So if I'm using Ghana as an example, the Petroleum Management Act mandates that the government is able to prioritize on specific sectors to expand oil money, on how they expend the oil money. But we also leave the government off the hook whether it decides to follow these laws or not. So that's the second challenge I'd like to highlight. And then the final challenge would be sustainable development and governance challenges. So this will include environmental problems, and that fits into the whole ESG, environmental, social, and governance. But I'll focus here on the sustainable development and the governance. And that includes environmental problems, resource conservation, displacement of communities from traditional lands. And also there's a lack of clear national policy directions, poor investment decisions, and also revenue management. So these are some of the main issues. And what I would say is that we need, as a continent, and also I would say for Ghana, to improve governmental capacity to design and implement policies and to be transparent, accountable, and corruption-free in operations and management of our natural resources.
Right. So there needs to be a proper management of our natural resources. So you talk about investments. Just how bad is it, the situation of a seeming lack of investments, which has resulted in this problem that we always have, where we are not able to properly exploit our natural resources to our benefit? Is that the key thing that we're really focusing on, or there's also perhaps so many loopholes that we have refused to plug also, which enhances or exacerbates the entire problem?
Well, thank you. So there is definitely investment. There's a lot of money out there, and a lot of organizations are looking for where to put their money. So the issue is not so much the investment, but there are several, African continent, I would say Ghana, we have different challenges that is slightly unique compared to the West. So one of the things would be, I would say, poor negotiations of, our natural resources. So that's one of the challenges, poor management of conflicting resource needs. There's also the issue of lack of transparency. So these are things that investors are slightly put off. So in the US, I do speak with a lot of investors in the New York State who have lots of the money. They're interested in Africa. Of course, there's so much buzz around Washington, D.C. currently from the government side and also from the private sector. There's a lot of buzz around how, encouraging investors to come to Africa. They're looking for where to put their money. But there's still a lot of issues that I would say over time we could address as a country in Ghana and also as a continent. So we got the transparency issue. There's also failure to link resource project to to the national economies. So if I'm focusing on Ghana, the Ghana's extractive sector account for more than 11% of GDP and then 15% of the government's revenue. So that's the extractive resources. Now, the African Development Bank recently also projected that Africa's extractive resources could contribute to over $30 billion per annum in government revenues for the next 20 years. Now, this means that we have to, as a country in Ghana and also as a continent, to remove these bottlenecks. And those are some of the issues that I highlighted earlier, to remove these bottlenecks and ensure transparency so that we can start to see the benefits from these sectors, to be able to see investors coming in, feeling comfortable, feeling confident, putting money into these sectors in our country. So critical minerals reserves are valued at the moment around $406 billion. Ghana is currently exploring lithium, which is critical for the future of clean energy technologies. So there's a great opportunity there. And the way forward is to ensure our resource management policies are stringent enough to deal with the loopholes that prevent these economies, or I'll say the Ghanaian economy, from benefiting from these minerals.
Right. So, in all of this, where does the African Investment Risk and Compliance Summit, sit in aligning Africa's interests, Ghana's interests in this conversation?
Thank you. So this was really the fourth summit we're hosting. We started in 2020, and this is also the first year we're hosting it in Washington, D.C. The focus, of course, we are all very much aware of, again, the very big interest, the developing interest, or I would say the increasing developing interest from the US, from Europe, from other nations in terms of exploring partnerships with Africa and other sort of opportunities. Now, the summit is set up to really bring all of these parties together, especially where there is a lot of concern. So like I gave the example about the investment community in the US, the government in the US is moving now from giving aid to Africa, that's their intention, into more partnerships between Africa and them. This is the US. But of course, the governance side is a big issue. How do we protect best practice? How do we ensure that a lot of these partnerships are happening in an ethical way? And so the conference is to really look at some of the challenges, like I've discussed, that have hindered funding flow into the continent, that have hindered the right partnerships progressing. We've had several meetings with a number of the African ambassadors in the US. And some of their biggest concerns, they said to us, is it's not the concern of getting the interest of the investors, but when they meet these investors along the line, they seem to lose interest. And if they do continue, they want their investment at a discount because they see the African continent as high risk, as corrupt, and everything negative, although they also understand that it hosts some of the best natural resources. So we are really going to be focusing also on the risk perception, the reality. What are the mitigations that needs to happen? We're looking at what do the African governments need to do to ensure that they are also, when they go into this partnership, it's very fair partnership. They're not going in as underdogs. We're also going to be looking at ways that, of course, the U.S. Can also understand, or not just the U.S., but those who will be attending, to understand what are the policy requirements as they come into the continent, again, vice versa. So those are some of the things that we're looking to address. And of course, the end goal would be to ensure, we work with the relevant parties. We'll put together a team that ensures that the outcomes are not just an outcome, but we also work with where we need to lobby. We do the lobbying to ensure that policies that are put in place are also benefiting the continent as well.
Right. So, with this summit, what further details, do we need to know in terms of the format it's going to take and, other details, about the events that we have to know.
Well, thank you. So it's a two-day conference. It's on the 27th and 28th of June. We are, so it's a full 2 days. There will be a dinner on the 28th, a high-level dinner. It's happening at the Ronald Reagan and World Trade Center building in Washington, D.C. And we are expecting some heads of state. We're expecting also some very, very high-profile banking CEOs from the U.S. side, from Africa. We're expecting government officials. We have some, very high-profile sort of members of U.S. government, at the very least, expecting one senator and one or two Congress people. And so that's kind of what we are, and they focus, we're pitching at a very high level. So the speakers are all kind of C-suite executive, some from the private sector, investors. We're also focusing on the role the diaspora can play in the development of Africa. For the first time, there'll be a big focus on women as well at this event. Of course, we, in the continent of Africa, there's a very big focus now on the diaspora, how the diaspora can play a role. And of course, the women play a key role in the development of Africa. And if these women are not empowered in the diaspora, then they won't be able to support the development. We'll still be looking at China and other nations solely. So there'll be a focus on how the diaspora women within the US and also Europe have access to the relevant opportunities and resources to enable them to also birth, the great businesses, the ideas that later on they can then take those ideas, businesses to support the continent of Africa, similar to what I'm doing as a diaspora woman in the West. Thank you.
Right, very well. Thank you also for joining us, and thank you for helping to put this summit, this all important summits together. We're grateful. I mean, the next last 30 seconds, is there anything that you'd like to add before we wrap it up?
Anybody wants to register, they can just go to the ebiigroup.com to find more information about the summit. But we are very excited, and Washington, D.C. is super exciting as the president hosted the Kenyan president. So we look forward to seeing everyone in the U.S. On the 27th, 28th of June next month. So thank you very much for having me. And yeah, thank you. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you also for joining us. We're grateful. GHOne is the CEO of the EBII Group, and she's also an investment risk and compliance expert, joining us and telling us about the annual African Investment Risk and Compliance Summit. This time around is being held in Washington, D.C. So if you want to be a part of it, make sure that you are not missing out on it. You're still watching GH Today here on GH1 television. And our next conversation is with someone who attempted, to hug a tree in order to break the Guinness World Record for the longest time hugging a tree. And I want to believe he's broken the record, right?
Yes.
Yes, and he's joined us here in the studio. Awal is here in the studio. Awal Abdul Hakim. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, sir.
So do you currently hold the Guinness World Record for the longest time hugging a tree?
Yeah, waiting for the approval.
Okay, you are waiting for the approval.
Yes, please.
So what was the previous record?
The previous record was 16 hours, 6 seconds. 16
hours, 6 seconds?
Yeah.
And who was it held by?
Patricia Riokot from Uganda, Kampala.
Okay. And then you now hold, or should I say you potentially could hold the Guinness World Record?
Yes.
How many hours did you do it?
24 hours, 21 seconds, yeah.
24 hours?
Yes.
That's like an entire day.
Yeah.
That's like an entire day.
Yeah, a day, yeah.
Hugging a tree. I think I saw someone also making an attempt similar to that.
Yeah.
But he was hugging different trees, right?
Different trees, yeah.
So his was
most trees hugged in an hour.
In an hour.
Yeah.
And you...
It's the longest time to hug a tree.
Yeah. Wow. Why did you decide to do this?
Well, I would say this is not just a tree hug. It is to create awareness on the invaluable contribution of trees in human life. the importance of tree in human life, the need to preserve tree, because there is a saying, when the last tree dies, the last human also dies. So the rampant cutting down of trees is becoming very, very, very unbecoming in this country. So we are creating awareness through the Guinness World Record fever that engulfed the country since December 2023. So this is just a pathway, but then the main reason behind it is to plant trees, introduce Ghana to new species of trees. That could probably be the next cocoa. So the reason behind it is to create awareness on the need to preserve trees and then to introduce Ghana to new species of trees.
So is there a project that you're embarking on in that regard?
Yeah, there is a project, there is a campaign that I will launch later on. A minute a tree. Initially, we planned to hug a tree for 48 hours, but then inconvenience. I'm a Muslim. I need to compromise because I need to pray and other stuff. So we did 24 hours. But then, initially we decided to do 48 hours. So when you check 48 hours, we have 2,880 minutes in 48 hours. So a minute a tree. We are aiming at planting new trees, 2,880 new species of trees nationwide. So that is the reason behind it, because we need trees. Everybody needs trees. The entire human race depends on trees. So without them, we cannot survive. They give us oxygen. We give them carbon dioxide. So when we cut them down, we will not get oxygen. Right. So when we cut them down, we will not get oxygen. We will breathe out our carbon dioxide and also breathe in our carbon dioxide. We all will die.
Yeah. So that's why you felt the need that you needed to attempt to break this record. So how did you do this? Because we've seen previous, attempts where you're attempting to do something, you take a break along the line for, 5 minutes, and then you come back and you take another break, or maybe you do cumulatively for maybe say 4 hours, you take another break. There's always something along those lines. What was yours like? Were you taking any breaks, or once you had the tree, that you were holding on to the tree for the 24 hours?
Well, so the record is longest time to continuously hug a tree. So there is no break whatsoever in this record.
Hold the tree.
You just hold the tree
for 24 hours.
For 24 good hours.
So you were holding the tree for 24 hours?
Yeah, I was holding the tree for 24 hours.
And someone is feeding you?
Someone was feeding me, because if my hands goes off the tree,
you literally had to hold it.
Hold it.
How hard was it?
It wasn't hard because I was ready for it. I planned. I used 5 months.
Train or something?
5 months to plan this.
So did you train?
I trained. I trained. I really trained. I trained a lot, because I even hugged the tree for 48 hours when I was training.
You hugged the tree for 48 hours?
Continuously.
Continuously?
Yes.
When you were training?
Yeah, I had to take off from job to come and then do my training so that.
So why did you hug the tree for only 24 hours then?
As I said earlier.
You said you were a Muslim.
Yeah,
right?
I'm a Muslim.
So
I need to pray. My religion doesn't allow me not to pray for a whole day. So I need to.
So when you were training and you hugged the tree for 48 hours, how did you pray?
I left it to go and pray and come back because it was a rehearsal.
Okay, because it was a rehearsal.
I left and then go and.
So you were ready for this? So
yeah, I was
continuously holding.
Yeah.
So did you sleep? You didn't sleep?
Yeah, I didn't sleep because it is continuously 24 hours. It was continuously. There is no break whatsoever in this record attempt, because I felt I need to create awareness on the importance of tree. Yeah, because the entire human race depends on tree.
So what time did you start?
I started at 3:52 p.m. Yeah, because it rained. Okay. It rained that day on the 22nd May. It rained
3:52 p.m.
Yeah,
all the way to
3:52 p.m. the next day, 23rd May. Yeah.
You were throughout the night.
Throughout the night, I was holding the tree together. I was with my team. We planned this with my team.
So, is there any reason why you chose that particular tree that you were hugging? Or it was just...
No, it was just a tree. It was just a tree. This tree is...
So where is this? Where did you do this?
At Kumasi Cultural Center.
Okay.
So this tree is actually a Christmas tree. So holding it, I felt like Santa Claus.
So did people come around to come and see you?
Yeah, a lot of people came around.
Holding the tree, did they talk to you?
A lot of people came around.
So were you talking to people while you were holding the tree?
Yeah, I was talking to people, because if you don't talk to people, you feel like
Did you at a point feel maybe your hands are slipping off or your hands are getting tired of holding the tree, and so you want to leave it?
No.
So you,
Yeah, as you can see,
the way I hold it, this is
holding the tree
this
for
is
40
interesting. Okay, so you don't have confirmation that you've broken the record yet?
No.
But you were actually able to continuously hold it.
Yeah, continuously hold
And
it.
it looks like you've surpassed the 60. What was it? It was
16 hours, 6 seconds, yeah.
And yours is like
24 hours.
Right?
So
you are confident. Have you heard from the Guinness World Record?
No.
You've not heard from them yet?
It takes literally 3 months for them to
verify.
To reply, because.
But you are confident.
Yeah, I'm confident because I followed all the guidelines they gave me. I adhered to it. It was like 5 pages guidelines. I spent about 2 weeks reading the guideline alone, because
So
many enthusiasts failed to enter the book.
Yeah.
So I felt like, and all because of the guideline.
So you were very strict.
I was very, very strict about the guidelines, because we didn't want to create any loss of productivity, because I spent a lot, 6 months planning to hang a tree. So
interesting. So
a lot of time.
So I see him feeding you. Were you drinking water too?
Yeah, I was drinking water.
You were drinking water?
Yeah.
So how did you go to the bathroom?
No, I didn't urinate.
So you didn't urinate?
No, I didn't
Even though
urinate.
you drank water?
Yeah, I drank water. I didn't urinate.
Did you feel like it?
I didn't even feel like urinating.
Wow. See, it looks like you had laser focus.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. So I mean, creating awareness, about this is.
Yeah. So there is a campaign that I'm launching.
Okay.
A minute a tree.
Okay.
So we are engaging all major stakeholders for them to come on board for us to plant a tree. So we are aiming at planting 2,880 trees nationwide. Yeah. So we are looking forward to bring the Forestry Commission on board, the Agricultural Development Bank on board, so that we can move on with the campaign. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very well. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
It's been an interesting conversation. So we wish you all the best, and we look forward to seeing you launch that initiative, which I believe is a very, very good initiative. To plant trees. Abdul Hakim. Awal. Yes, you have the record. I know you have the record. 24 hours hugging a tree. Can you imagine? Anyway, do stay tuned. This is still GH Today. It's time for us to celebrate a few birthdays. So you can see here on your screen. This one says, "Happy birthday to Corporal Deborah Awiaga. You are truly one in a million. As you turn a year older, I wish you lots of happiness, joy, and abundant blessings. As wine gets better with age, so will you grow from strength to strength and prosperity to prosperity. Have a truly amazing next chapter." And this is from Kekeli. All right, you're welcome back to the show. So we have another conversation with Let Love Lead, and I think it's the second edition of the Let Love Lead annual sanitation drive. And so we want to talk a little bit about that. Our next guest in the studio is Esilfua Boris Hemans. Did I butcher your name? I'm sorry.
You tried
I'm sorry. Help me here.
Esilfua Boris Hemans.
Esilfua Boris Hemans.
Yes.
Right. Thank you for joining us here in the studio.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us as well.
So what is all of this about? The Let Love Lead sanitation drive.
Before that, Let Love Lead is an NGO founded by Big Dawood. Now, he has a love for kids and for giving to the less privileged. And so, after starting philanthropy for a bit, he realized that, why not set up an NGO and have more people support so he can do the Lord's work, right? Now, the main aim of Let Love Lead is to alleviate poverty in our own little way by, providing for the less privileged. And in providing for the less privileged, you can't only give them, you have to make sure that their surroundings or the sanitation is also 100%. Now, 9 years ago, June 3rd took place at Circle, and a lot of people lost their lives, people got injured, and that is a big inspiration for the sanitation drive, which the first edition has already happened, and we're doing it again because, if you want to be honest, Accra is choked with a lot of dirt, and we have to start at a point by cleaning. There's a lot of floods taking place. The rainy season has come again, and if this whole June 3rd takes place again, it means we didn't learn our lesson from 9 years ago. And so what we're doing is to, you know, also clean our surroundings. And we're going to be starting from the Palace Mall all the way to Bachuna Total.
From the Palace Mall to Bachuna Total.
Yes.
You're cleaning the entire... So what are you
Yes.
cleaning? Are you like sweeping the streets? Are you desilting gutters? What are you doing?
So mainly looking at the gutters, but also the streets. If there's any rubbish around that needs to be, you know, cleared, we'll do that so that it doesn't end up in gutters and choke any, you know, gutters and stop any running water from, you know, moving freely.
So can anyone be a part of this?
Yes, I mean, we want people to come through and help us. We have a number of people supporting us already. If you know, the leading team in sanitation right now, the Bus Stop Boys, are supporting us. They'll be coming through on Saturday, the 1st of June, to, you know, help us clean. Aside that, we have a number of partners. We've partnered with the Sanitation Ministry, Crowell Municipal Assembly, Lejukuku Municipal Assembly, and the Tema West Municipal Assembly. Now, they are supporting us, and they are partnering with us and supporting us. We have Palace Mall, Mr. Mohammed Salami. We have Trillium Beverages. Now, they have been really, you know, pivotal in the project of Let Love Lead, and once again, they are here for the sanitation drive. Hybrid Bikers GH. And we also want to say happy birthday to Mr. Muhyiddin. He's amazing when it comes to, you know, supporting us as well. Now, he's the HR for Rana Mutus. We also have A1 Diesel, Casa Preco, the Outlet, Bachuna Total, and Second Cup. And like I already mentioned, the Bus Stop Boys. And so, yeah, we're really excited for Saturday. We're calling everyone who's watching right now to come through, let us clean, and hopefully we've started something great. If you support us, with more support, we can extend and clean other areas because, like I said, Accra is choked with a lot of dirt.
All right, so you start on Saturday, right?
Yes.
Saturday, what time?
6 a.m. So we're all going to
6 a.m.
converge, at Palace Mall, and then we move up with the cleaning.
Okay, very well. I will be there. Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank
and
you.
That's a great way to end GH Today here on GH1 Television.